Anthony Gell School is a small 11 to 18 comprehensive school. We serve the market town of Wirksworth and the surrounding villages in the Derbyshire Dales. We have students who go off to Oxford. We also have students who have learning difficulties and who have disabilities as well. We have a higher than average number of students who are on the code of practice, and we are well above average for students who are statemented.
In 2009, a review of equalities work within the school highlighted a need for increased work on disability equality issues. The school began to address this with a whole school Disability Awareness Week.
The first part of it was about awareness raising. What does that actually mean? What are acceptable terms to use? What are not acceptable terms to use? What issues are there in the curriculum that we can sort of build on so that our individual students can learn about themselves? So what it did is actually opened up the whole discussion about disability in a way that we hadn't done before.
I want you to think about what you see on this poster and what this means to you if we're thinking about equality for people who have a disability.
Yeah, she puts aside the differences, she puts aside the different clothes.
During the week, the whole school discussed a set of disability equality posters in mixed-age tutor groups and in class.
I put bullying, just a key word, just discrimination.
I think the key bit about it, students showed more empathy towards others, particularly during that week. And that's actually with students who find life quite a challenge at times in particular. But right across the school, you had other students saying, well, actually, I didn't understand that. Now I understand that. And I actually might treat other people slightly differently. And that has actually had a longer impact. And if you give students the confidence to talk about it, it encourages them to perhaps be more relaxed about taking risks in the classroom, about tackling new work with a renewed confidence, and that actually is what the national curriculum is sort of heading towards. And once you have that belief in yourself that you can actually do things, you can actually then become better, successful at learning.
She's wearing bright clothes.
What did students think of the week?
It made you think about your own behaviour and how maybe you've been insensitive to people or you've not understood things wholly, and sort of like the list of words that were saying that are offensive. You were like, I could say that twice a day and I didn't realise that it would hurt other people. And then it made you think, actually no, I'm not going to do that anymore, I need to understand. And and then the whole school, you could see it have a difference through people thinking, actually, no, that's not nice, I'm not going to do that.
I think that it really helped people to realise that others do have to live with impairments every day, and that in a way they are stronger because of that. So I just think that maybe people might respect others a bit more because of that week.
During the Disability Awareness Week, the PE department introduced students to a number of disability sports. This was popular, and this work will be continued. Building on work done during the Disability Awareness Week, staff are now developing lessons which include disability equality and disabled people's experiences. In this Humanities lesson, Sarah and a colleague from History have adapted an existing resource for this Year 8 class.
And for shell shock, because it will make them feel reassured. Yeah, reassured.
Some were mild injuries and some were extreme injuries, but there was a lot of men that were injured. I guess because I'm an RE person, I always try to make it personal, so trying to give them the perspective of creating their own character and giving their own character an injury, I thought would perhaps help them to understand and to focus more on the subject. Being shot
went through his chest and then it went through his back.
Okay, so that's one injury that he sustained.
And then he banged his head when he fell over.
You might decide that your soldier has had a mental injury, that they are traumatised by the war. How are you going to treat them?
Counselling, because you think she's going to die and stuff. And then
Sarah wanted the class to consider the injured soldiers' needs and their lives as disabled people after World War I. This approach to humanities and history fulfills a key learning objective in citizenship, to explore rights and responsibilities. Sarah and her colleagues think that this work can be effectively developed to make comparisons with the experience of disabled servicemen and women today and to explore the history of disabled people in the community.
Who is responsible? Yeah.
Is the government?
Good idea. Why do you think the government's responsible?
Would you say that's visible, Larry?
Is it?
Yeah. Cancer and them losing all their hair.
Today, Chris has planned this Year 8 lesson to explore visible and invisible common impairments and their effects on different body organs and the skeleton.
Lymph and immunity system.
I would say it's a twofold thing that I was trying to achieve. Obviously the science behind some of the impairments, the systems that they belong to, but at the same time I was also trying to keep aware of the social model and keep the perspective of raising awareness. I think that through awareness these kids can deal with disability when they see it much better. It's so different to how when I was at school and we didn't know anything, and sometimes we were even perhaps fearful to talk about it. Anyone tell me who this fella is? Go on.
Stephen Hawking.
Well done. He can't actually speak, so he uses the flicking of his eyes and into a computer that then makes the noise for him. Visible or invisible disability? What do you think? Go on.
Invisible.
Invisible. In fact, he is dyslexic. I am mildly dyslexic myself. What I really wanted to try and achieve was to get away from this idea of a group of normal people and then a minority of disabled people.
It does, doesn't it? Oh, my mum's got arthritis. My uncle has this and he used to have injection.
Asthma, which is invisible.
The class includes 5 disabled students with learning difficulties.
Mine's rumpus.
They were starting to see themselves and, oh, okay, that's me. And a number of other times in conversation, oh yeah, I was born with a birthmark, or my sister's got that. And that's the lovely thing about these sort of lessons, is it brings it home and makes it real and makes it personal to everyone.
Migraine, which is in the nervous system.
Which is invisible again. We've got barcodes, ISBN numbers. What's an ISBN number? What information's passed on in a PIN number?
In maths, Naomi is also convinced that exercises with real-life practical applications engage students. Today, she's asking the class to investigate codes, and specifically Braille.
Yeah, that's a good one, Ellie. Now you always have 2 across, 3 down, possible ways of putting on these dots. So the first thing is I want to think, how many possible patterns are there if you've got 2 across, 3 down, and possibilities of raising some of them? I want a systematic way of working that out.
1, 2, 3, 4. That could work. 1, 2. So like this.
When the class were confident with the number of dot combinations, Naomi asked them to decode some Braille and then to write their own messages.
Found it, it's not. But then to change over from numbers into letters, you have to put your letter sign on again.
It's basically the same, just they can't see it, they have to feel it, but they still have to know the same things as we do.
So in the picture, we've got a guy in a wheelchair.
Helen and staff at Anthony Gell have set up a working group to ensure that work on disabled people's experiences and disability equality issues continue to be developed and incorporated throughout the whole school curriculum.
There's more resources around now than there were even this time last year, so that actually makes it easier to look at things. So we will plot what needs to be done, perhaps across a year group or perhaps even within a department. There will be a group of teachers who look at that to advise, to sift through the material. Because whilst there's more material around now, it needs to still be worked into schemes of work, so it's not a bolt-on extra, and it needs to become part and parcel of your normal teaching.
By embedding disability equality in the curriculum, the school is developing students as successful learners and confident individuals.